Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this. Let's see what today's date is. I think today's 16th. Yeah, 16th day of July here. Got a great show with you on for tonight. Now, listen, folks, the Mad New Yorker niece has got a birthday. He's got some family affairs. I want to give my man a night off here. He's pretty loyal, consistent about coming on Thursdays. Plus, I didn't get a chance to do a program on Monday. I wanted to actually take the day off. I've been really grinding hard, building my savings back up, trying to gear up some marketing money for this program coming into the football season. Folks, listen, we've got training camp coming up on Thursday for a lot of teams here. That'll be the 23rd. Also this week, starting on the 20th, SEC Media Day. It's going to give you my SEC championship. I'm going to try to get my Phil Steele magazine sometime this weekend and study up on that as well. But as far as tonight, go to talk this World Cup. This World Cup's been a big buzz. You know, I told you I work ride share, Uber stuff around here in the Nashville area. And I'll tell you what, a lot of buzz about the World Cup. Man, this Messi, was it a choke job by England, or was it just a team that just refuses to lose with this Argentina? Talk about that. Talk a little bit, of course, France getting beat, upset by Spain and their immaculate defense. That as well. Going to talk about this 64-team proposal. I'm all for it in the World Cup, but also the WNBA commissioner. Looks like their report, she's going to be fired at the end of the season. I'll talk about that overhaul. A little bit of Caitlin Clark talk as well. Also, my 3 bold predictions, like I said earlier, training camp start next week. My 3 bold predictions for the NFL coming into next season. So, got a big show with you all for tonight. Can't wait. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break. I'll be back here momentarily, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All right, we'll start off with the big game last night, or technically yesterday afternoon, which I think is pretty cool playing these games in the afternoon personally. Argentina, England, intense match ratings. By the way, 22-24 million according to Fox. I thought that would be actually more than that. Maybe afterwards they will find out that the streaming was more. And, of course, the internet views will be a gazillion numbers here. But anyways, I mean, geez, Argentina, like they did about 2 weeks ago against Egypt. Riley's back, scores goals, 2 goals late to win, just like they scored a 3 unanswered. They scored the 2 unanswered late. I haven't seen a team like this. I mean, I don't watch a lot of soccer. I know that. And you guys know that too. But I do watch a lot of sports in general. And, whether it's NFL, college football, the NBA, college basketball, there's only so many teams that can come back like this. But yeah, I just cannot believe England lost this game. They get up early in the game. They go into a shell. They play basically a prevent defense. And listen, not to take away from Argentina, some of you younger fans might not know this quote, but a lot of you older fans do know this quote, is the Rudy Tomjanovich, former coach of the Houston Rockets when they won their back-to-back championship in 1995, says, never underestimate the heart of a champion. Never, they've got this, and I understand it. I've heard all the criticisms. I said the criticisms. Argentina Argentina is a team that is it has gotten they got a very good draw. You know, they've gotten a very good draw per se. But these last few games, hey, listen, they rise up. Okay, England, I thought was going to be the team possibly could win this whole thing. We talked about them going down to Mexico, winning on the road, beating Mexico in Aztec Stadium, snapping their 14-year winning streak. Yeah, you heard that correct. And then they lose like this to Argentina. But Argentina has this aura about them. Whether they had a light schedule or a good draw or not, they had this aura where they just feel like they cannot, will not lose. You know, that's my take on them per se. Let's watch this, and I've said this a few weeks now. I'm going to say this for the second week in a row with Lionel Messi. For you NFL fans out there, some of you older fans, you know, this guy's small. He's 5'7", 5'8". I'm about his height. Lionel Messi. Undersized player, extremely skilled, extremely clutch, big game player. He reminds me so much of a smaller, big game NFL player, Joe Montana. Watch this play. This is the game winner to pretty much seal it pretty much at the end of the game here against England. We got to watch that one more time, folks. And listen to the goal. That was from the stadium. I got off TikTok here, got that video. But watch this. This is split defenders, clutch. You think that's easy? Try doing that shot right there. You got two people coming your way. You can make the perfect pass. Guy's got to hit it off his head. Direct target. Pressure's on the line. It's late in the game. We're 90-something minutes in. Watch this again. This is to win it. The ultimate assist from Lionel Messi. Again, it looks like I don't know. It looks like I'm having trouble streaming here on Facebook. I hope Facebook did flag me. They are such a pain in the butt. But anyways, okay. Now, you know, again, England, you just cannot play prevent defense on a guy like this. You saw him come back against Egypt. You got to be more aggressive here. You live and learn. I'm sure they're getting just absolutely tortured there in the local press there all throughout the country of England. Now, I know they're going to play Spain. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about that Spain-France game. The Spain, listen, I mean, NFL comparison, they are the 85 Bears. They are the 2000 Ravens of this World Cup tournament. One goal given up, and not really. The adage was, are they going to depend on this 18-year-old star here, Lamine Yamal? And I'm sure I'm jacking his name up. The 19-year-old, he's 19 now. Are they going to depend on him? No, they didn't. That their defense gets too old. Win over France. You know, France with all their talent there, probably arguably the best player in his prime, and Mbappe, and the fact that they could not get a goal on this particular Spain team. Now they're 3-0 in the last 3 games. there with against these guys. Listen, it's a great defense. They are a complete team. They're not depending on this young man. I think he's only got, one goal in the entire tournament here, although he's super talented. You can see the way he moves with the ball. Spain is a negative 150 favorite. They are favored to beat Argentina. I'm going to go out on a limb because I think a lot of people are probably going to say, Argentina's destined to win it again. I think Spain will win this thing. I think they're going to win it. I think they've got the defense. I think they're not going to make the mistakes that the other teams have made. I could be wrong, but hey, listen, it is what it is. Messi's the best right now. He's a Montana. He brings his team up to the level. I love the passion of these particular games. I want to see more. I'm not a big soccer guy, but I'll tell you what, this is the most soccer I have watched in my life. That is not exaggeration. I love the time of the World Cup where the NBA finals are done. The NFL's not playing. Major League Baseball's in the middle of the season. Nothing pressing there. They're competing with the WNBA, and I love the Big Three League, but that's no comparison to the World Cup. There are discussions. They're not reports. There are discussions of the World Cup now, folks, going to 64 teams, going to 64 teams. Let's see. I put a screenshot here. Now, currently, it is 48 teams. Let me make sure and get this. FIFA president Gianni Infantino, the guy that was in the news about the United States, said he's confirmed that FIFA is examining a proposal to expand the World Cup to 64 teams. Originally floated by South Africa's governing body, the potential expansion would be implemented as early as the 2030 tournament. That'd be the very next tournament. As you know, I'm 110% for expanding the World Cup to 64 teams. Here's my suggestions, though. If you're going to make it 64, let's don't have any of this group stage crap. Let's don't have any ties in the first round. Let's have single game knockout stage right from the very get-go. I think that would be just make it just like, that's practically the NCAA tournament. The NCAA tournament's 68. They're talking about spanning. I didn't like to do that. It used to be 64 forever. But anyways, make it like the NCAA tournament. A few things I would add. You cannot put all these guys in the box. You can only limit so many players inside the box by the goal. Make it more interesting. Up the score in here. And as far as like local economies, we saw what Norway did with the rowboat thing. We saw the fact that Boston was drunk out of alcohol, the Boston bars. That's great for the economies. We saw the camaraderie, the banner. Now, there some fans got out of control with the fights and stuff, but it wasn't too bad from the videos I've seen. And I'm all throughout the X app. I'm all throughout TikTok looking for stuff like this, scanning. Did not see any of that. It's great for the countries, economies that these places are in. I love the passion, the agony of the defeat, the thrill of victory, the kids crying in the stadium, the unity, the unity from the countries that are hosting this thing. I think that would be great. Also, let me throw another nugget in here. If you're going to do 64 teams, why not do this thing every other year and get more the merrier from that way? I understand. I would like to do it every year, but listen, it's a big deal. You want to have the qualifiers. You want to have 1 year qualify, 1 year playing. Do it every other year. Make it 64 teams. Make it single game elimination. I'm all for it. Let's go World Cup. But the United States, listen, you got to get it together. I saw a documentary the other day called The Summer of '94. It was a good documentary, but listen, do you really want to do a documentary about a United States team that made it to the round of 16? I thought that was a little corny. We've got to up our game here in the States and be in position to play for a championship. I said, hey, listen, get a coach like a Nick Saban or a Herb Brooks from the USA men's hockey team. I got a lot of pushback and flack from you soccer purists. I hear you. But anyways, but I don't care. That's my opinion. Hey, man, I want to win. I ain't mad at you. But listen, I want to win games. All right? Now, okay. Let's see. We'll take this comment off here. Thank you for your contribution. All right. By the way, I want to thank everybody, my new listeners, subscribers, my Uber riders, my ride share folks. Thank you and for subscribing to the at the Real Sports Scope YouTube and other Spotify and however we get to this program pages. Okay, now switching gears here, and I'm not sure which one I want to go to first. I guess I'll go to this WNBA story, and then I'll talk a little NFL as well. Let's see. Okay, now the WNBA. Listen, this is an interesting story. Now that the World Cup's kind of dying down, we'll get to the final. By the way, like I said, I like Spain to win on Sunday, I think, at 2:00 Central, 3:00 Eastern. Okay, here we go. All right. The WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, was reported to not wanting to suspend. This came out this week. Player Alyssa Thomas for a throat punch on Caitlin Clark until Adam Silver stepped in and said she should do so last week. Let me play that, and then I'll also play what she did blowing off Dan Patrick, which is unbelievable, man. Let's see. That's the wrong one.
To the ground, and ooh, that's a hand to the neck, and then to the ground, and ooh, that's a hand to the neck, and then.
Okay, so she did not want to suspend that player for punching Caitlin Clark in the neck. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, had to step in and punch her. Had to step in and say, "No, you need to suspend Caitlin Clark." Listen, folks, this has been a charity league for 29 years. Okay, what do you mean by charity league? The NBA is picking it up. It's not turning profit since for the last 29 years, since 1997. I think they've been laying under the radar, not used to this much scrutiny, not used to this much publicity. And this woman, by the way, reports are, according to Sports Business Journal, that she is going to be out at the end of the year. She will be fired at the end of the year. Look what she did. This is the commissioner, folks. This is the commissioner of the WNBA blowing off Dan Patrick's show at the last minute. Watch this, if I can find it.
I mean, if you want to be treated as a serious league, then do these. This is what happens. These are tough questions, but this is a fair outlet for you, a fair platform. I will treat you with respect, but don't say yes. And then all of a sudden, somebody probably said, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. Well, at some point, you have to do this. And she's 50 yards away. She's hitting practice shots out of the bunker. This is an important league. There's expansion. There's conversation. It's been agendaized. Everybody has something to say about it. Now you have a chance to answer these questions. I wanted Kathy to have that opportunity. You don't want to come on the show? Tell me you don't want to come on the show. I have no problem with that. But if you tell me you're coming on and you make us wait 2 hours, that's a problem. And that says a lot about what's going on, in my opinion, with the WNBA.
Wow. I mean, listen, this woman is, like I said, there are reports she's going to be out after this season here. My thing is that supports narratives from guys that are known, conservative sports talk show hosts. That's a real title now. Guys like Clay Travis with Fox Sports and Jason Whitlock, who's independent now, say that basically what they're saying is, and they haven't specifically said this, but they're saying that that Clark, the jealousy comes from because she is, white per se, and she's gotten so much attention. And also, the jealousy comes from that she's not LGBTQ. She's straight. She's not lesbian or gay or whatever. I think that's part of it. I do think that's part of it. But I also want to, like I said, this commissioner does not want to offend the players because of their envy and jealousy of Clark's and her status. But also, I do think a lot of the resentment is coming from that she's not the best player per se in the league. She's not an Asia Wilson or whatever. Some could make the argument that Paige Becker's a better player per se. That she hasn't proven enough, like all rookies, young players. She's 30 years in. She's not a rookie, but still coming in with a lot of hype. Has not technically proved she hasn't got MVP of the league yet. She has not won a championship yet. So certain things like that. Now, that being said, she comes in with the high marketing and ability. They go from private jet from flying commercial. Now they're flying private. They're selling out arenas with Caitlin Clark there. She is a great player. She reminds me of a lot of Steph Curry. Like I said last week or the week before that, got a lot of heat for it. That she's got to step her game up, and they've got to step their game up around her, the coaching staff, and get the players on board. With Sophia Cunningham, who was at UFC the other day. She was a ring car girl. She's starting to get some celebrity, but they've got to win more games. The other day, she was complaining about not getting a call made. She was hammered again the other day. That's fine. I do think that she is being somewhat targeted. But that being said, she's got to win more games. They've got to have more success on the court. Okay, that's my criticism there. But going back to this commissioner here, she's too afraid to upset the apple cart. You got to be like a David Stern type. That's the former commissioner who set the ball rolling for what Adam Silver is running off of. You've got to have a hard line fist, and you cannot be intimidated by nobody when you're making rules, whether they love you or hate you. One time, Stern, he put in a dress code. He thought the players were looking too sloppy at the podium, which Allen Iverson, they're looking too unprofessional, too thug-like. He was accused for possible racism and all that. Well, you know what? The players liked it. They come up in their fresh suits here, and I'm pretty sure they got some endorsements from that and got some clothing lines. They took it and ran with it. It helped the NBA's image. Okay, so they're going to do away with this lady. They need a David Stern type of someone who's not intimidated, who's going to keep this about professionalism. Who will suspend the player for Bush League play, no matter what kind of blowback they get from any type of media or columnist or whatnot, and do the right thing per se. Okay, I do think, like I said before in this program, I do think that that the WNBA is getting so much heat for this, so much scrutiny for this, that these things will be implemented when this woman's out next year. This league will be successful because it is in the summer, and I do think Caitlin Clark will be better. Listen to what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said about her, Caitlin Clark, as well. So we're talking about two different things here. The league's got to get on board and embrace this Caitlin Clark, but she's also got to play better and live up to the hype. Michael Jordan said, yeah, I sold a lot of shoes. They became popular because winning games. Remember, Jordan, some of you younger fans don't know this, but he was hammered. A lot of you do, because you probably seen the 30-foot, the Last Dance documentary, but I watched other documentaries where the guy was smaller, but he did put the weight on. He did learn how to deal with the Pistons. The Pistons are the rest of the NBA for Caitlin Clark, if she wants to be compared to Jordan and not a Steph Curry. Okay, now, but this is what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar here says Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, is disrespectful to the past WNBA players who paved the way for her. I'm not sure about that because the league has been put on charity here. But he says Clark's a very good player, possibly even a great player. But calling any one player the face of the league absent short of on-court and cross-platform domination of a Michael Jordan or LeBron James an insult to an awful lot of great players. So, listen, she's got to prove it, man. She's got to prove it and get better. Again, I think she will. But right now, no, she's not the face of the league. I mean, you know, and I think that's where some of the resentment's coming from. She might be the most popular, but you're talking face of the league around her peers, coaches, and whatnot, players, it's probably still going to be Wilson. Could that change? Will that change? I think it will, but I cannot guarantee it, okay? Yeah. So you definitely got to do away with this, Commissioner. Let's see how this thing plays out, folks, in the near future. Okay. All right, let's get to some NFL. Oh, by the way, so there will be SEC Media Days next week. I may talk about this Monday. I will definitely talk about this Thursday. I will pick an SEC championship game. I will pick an SEC champion. Okay. It just depends on how fast I can get my Phil Steele book and get my studying in and get everything done for the Southeastern Conference football. Because we got the media days coming up this week. Seems like they usually about a week before. I like the fact that they did put it off because it's a little bit closer to the actual season where it'll start training camps and stuff. Of course, now we've also got NFL training camps. So stay tuned for that. We'll be talking about SEC football. Love this Lane Kiffin coming into LSU. Trinidad Chambliss coming back to Ole Miss. Can A&M continue building what they built on last year? Remember, they got to the playoff. Can Texas win it? Can Texas win the whole thing this year with Arch Manning? Those are storylines. Can Georgia rebound? Georgia's always a championship team. Remember, they've got a returning quarterback too there. So a lot of storylines to follow here in the Southeastern Conference, folks. Stay tuned for that. All right, now, but also the NFL. The NFL will be played. The NFL will start their training camps next week as early as Thursday. So here's 3 bold predictions that nobody else is talking about in the NFL coming up coming from my mouth to your ears that probably I don't think anybody else is going to make. Could be, but I don't think so. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson dropped 67 spots in a new players poll. That's a big deal. The players are losing respect for him. They're losing faith in him. I don't know respect. They're losing faith in him being leading them to a championship, be one of the great players. Mind you, folks, they've got a new coach, Jesse Minter, due to lack of success and consistency from John Harbaugh. My bold prediction is with his injury history, with his lack of playoff success, when his contract extension, even if they do extend Lamar Jackson, I do think that they're not going to play as well this year, probably miss the playoffs. Again, folks, I think their over and under is like 11 games or something like that. Even if they do make the playoffs, I think he'll probably come up short in that first round there. I do think they will move off Lamar Jackson because they've already moved off John Harbaugh. He wants more money. The guy's pushing up on the 30s now, getting older. Remember, he came into the league with Josh Allen, those guys. Remember that? So, which is in 2018, folks. Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens will move off Lamar Jackson at the end of the season, rather when the season's in, not in the middle of the season. That'd be pretty crazy. I don't think that ain't going to be that bold. But I do think that whether he is extended here in the offseason, they still could get extended. Whether he's extended or not, I do think at this season ends, they're going to move off of him and trade him to somebody else. Okay? or cut him, but I think they'll trade Lamar Jackson. I do think they will trade him. That's the first bold prediction coming up for the NFL season. Now, number 2, Dan Quinn. Yes, the head coach of the Washington Commanders did not make the playoffs last year. If you look at Dan Quinn, remember once Kyle Shanahan left him with the Atlanta Falcons, remember they got to the Super Bowl in 2016 and everything, the big blown lead, 28-3, not to rehash that. But they eventually started going more and more downhill. You could see the team started to deteriorate there. I thought they essentially caught lightning in the bottle his first year. I love the hiring of Cliff Kingsbury there with Jalen Daniels. Almost got to the Super Bowl as a rookie. Last year, Daniels' injuries start to catch up with him. The defense was, yes, you heard this right, 32nd in the league. I know, yeah, that's dead last. Total defense, 32nd in the league. I know that they had an aging defense. They made some big upgrades. They've had a pretty decent draft there. But I do think that Daniels' injuries is going to catch up, and I don't think Quinn is just a great head coach. They're going to have a new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. Had some run-ins with the general manager. I don't know why the general manager would be having run-ins with the offensive coordinator, but he did. So he's gone. The offense is going to take a hit. Dan Quinn's defense is not going to be up to par because, listen, I like the stability of the Eagles. The win over and unders for the Giants are 7.5. Look at those defensive upgrades that the Cowboys have made. Who's the odd man out? It's the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn, 2 years after being in the NFC Championship game, I think ownership will want to go in another direction. Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders, folks, will be fired. That's my bold prediction coming up for the Commanders at the end of the season. Okay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do like Todd Bowles. I like what he stands for. I like at times how good his defense can really play, the solid defense of this team. But listen, they are very, very and listen, I know Baker Mayfield wants more money. They went through 2 of the last 3 offensive coordinators were hits. Those guys both went on to take head coaching jobs at the Carolina Panthers and, of course, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year was a dud. They hired a new offensive coordinator, this Zach Robertson, which was from Atlanta, they moved off their head coach. So I wasn't in love with Zach Robertson's hire, and I do think he's going to be the fall guy for Mayfield. Has to have an ideal running game around him. Baker Mayfield has to have high-end skill players. He has to have guys like Mike Evans or whoever around him for him to be successful. He's still somewhat of a limited player. He's a little undersized. He's never as fast as he thinks he is. I don't think Zach Robertson's going to fix it. I think that the Bucs are going to look at this and say, we need a strong offensive-minded head coach. We don't need to keep rolling dice with coordinators every single year. We're going to have to move off Todd Bowles and thank him for his services. They might move off Baker Mayfield as well. I would not pay him $55 to $60 million, and I'd be looking for a quarterback. But I'm just telling you right now, you look at the emergence of the Carolina Panthers, who made the playoffs last year. You look at the new coaching staff with the Atlanta Falcons, who, by the way, they may have James Pierce somewhat back this year. I want to say he's getting out of his illegal stuff. I like what they've done. Remember, they've got Tua up there in Atlanta, okay? We look at Tyler Shough and that staff there. That's a quarterback with the New Orleans Saints. So I think Todd Bowles will get fired this year. That's a bold prediction. Because, listen, he's been in the playoffs every year except for last year. But they've blown a lot of leads late. You could really tell they needed that help at coordinator. They're too coordinator reliant. So I think Todd Bowles will be fired. I do think Dan Quinn will be fired. And I do think the Baltimore Ravens will move off Lamar Jackson next year. So those are my 3 bold predictions for the NFL coming in to the 2026 season. As we get through closer to August and throughout August, I'll be giving you predictions of each and every team in the NFL and break those down. I'm probably not going to do like I have in the past and put it all off the Labor Day weekend where I'm totally exhausted. What I will do is start doing it now. Once we're into, and I'm going to do some more college football stuff as well, but as we're leading into the NFL season, I'm going to do it a little sooner, probably a few weeks into August, probably around the 14th into the end of August, and lead it up. And if something happens, if you have a big training camp injury or something like that, I'll edit out wins and whatnot and do some changes to those predictions as we go throughout the off season. Okay. All right. So if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back on hopefully Monday and give you an update. I'll talk a little, like I said, I may very well do an SEC prediction Monday. If not, I'll definitely, with the Matt New Yorker, who'll be back hopefully next Thursday, talk about some SEC storylines and predictions, see who can possibly make the playoff and not, or at least win this conference here. Okay. Looks like I got a great crowd tonight. Again, I want to thank everybody from YouTube for coming on the program here. And again, I'll be back Monday, probably with the recorded show Monday, and I'll be back live here on Thursday night. Have a good Thursday, everybody, and I will see you then here on the Real Sports Scope.